Jinnah of Pakistan by Stanley Walpert. Chapter 15, Karachi and Bombay Revisited, 1943 to 1944. United Provinces Governor Sir Maurice Howlett, who considered Gandhi cunning as a cartload of monkeys, cautioned Wavell against granting the Mahatma an interview. The viceroy was in no rush to see either Gandhi or Jinnah, suspecting Sir Akbar Haidari, the secretary to his civil supplies department, was correct in his opinion that no progress was possible till both were underground. But a new round of Gandhi Jinnah talks was being arranged even as these harsh words were winging towards London on invisible pulses of electric power. CR published a political formula which he insisted Gandhi was prepared to accept if only Jinnah agreed to it. That formula proposed a plebiscite for the Muslim majority contiguous districts in the northwest and east of India to decide the issue of separation from Hindustan. If the majority decide in favor of forming a sovereign state separate from Hindustan, such decision shall be given effect to, without prejudice to the right of districts on the border to choose to join either state. It sounded enough like Pakistan to arouse considerable speculation as to the Mahatma's new position. Jinnah was in no rush to believe CR's assurances of Gandhi's acceptance, however, and waited direct word from his old adversary, who finally wrote the original was in Gujarati on July 17, 1944. Brother Jinnah, there was a day when I could induce you to speak in the mother tongue. Today, I take courage to write you in the same language. I had invited you to meet me while I was in jail. I have not written to you since my release, but today my heart says that I should write to you. We will meet whenever you choose. Don't regard me as the enemy of Islam or of the Muslims of this country. I am the friend and servant of not only yourself but of the whole world. Do not disappoint me. Jinnah replied from Srinagar on the eve of his departure from Kashmir, informing Mr. Gandhi that he would be glad to receive you at my house in Bombay on my return, which will probably be about the middle of August. The war cabinet was brought into the picture on Gandhi's recent moves, with a memo circulated by Emery to his busy colleagues. Churchill was beside himself with fury at Gandhi's vigor and the prospect of yet another viceroy negotiating with the little old man. Veer Savarkar, leader of the Hindu Mahasabha and the guru of Gandhi's future assassin, was equally upset at the Mahatma's latest move, warning Emery to buy wire. Hindu Sabhites can never tolerate breaking up of Union of India, their fatherland and holy land. The Muslim League Council met in Lahore on July 30th, 1944. Jinnah presided and reported on the current state of political developments concerning CR's formula and the proposed summit. He was prepared to concede nothing, to accept nothing on faith in his forthcoming meetings with his old adversary. The League's council gave him unanimous support, and Quaid-e-Azam concluded that brief meeting with the promise that, Inshallah, Pakistan is coming. Talks started on September 9th. Gandhi and Jinnah posed with broad smiles on the veranda of Jinnah's Malabar Hill house before they went inside for 3.25 hours of private and secret discussion. Cautious lawyer that he was, Jinnah kept a record of their tete-a-tete. Gandhi reported his version of the first day's talk to CR, calling the meeting a test of my patience and noting, I am amazed at my own patience. However, it was a friendly talk. He then informed CR of Jinnah's contempt for your formula and his contempt for you, which Gandhi called stagger. He says you have accepted his demand and so should I. I said, I endorse Rajaji's formula and you call it Pakistan if you like. He talked of the Lahore resolution. Gandhi also reported that Jinnah told him that if he conceded Pakistan, he stood ready to go to jail or even face bullets. He wants Pakistan now, not after independence. we will have independence for Pakistan and Hindustan. He said, we should come to an agreement and then go to the government and ask them to accept it, force them to accept our solution. The Muslims want Pakistan, the League represents the Muslims, and it wants separation. Their second meeting proved no more fruitful than the first, though Gandhi reported to CR that Jinnah drew a very alluring picture of the government of Pakistan. It would be a perfect democracy. Gandhi then immediately reminded Jinnah of how often he had said democracy did not suit Indian conditions, but Jinnah insisted that was with regard to imposed democracy. The press corps awaited for Jinnah and Gandhi as they emerged from that morning session, asking, anything for us? Gandhi replied, I have nothing. Yesterday you read something in our faces. I would like you not to read anything in our faces except hope and nothing but hope. Then he turned to ask Jinnah, am I right? Have you seen the papers this morning? Jinnah's response was, why bother? Jinnah sensed by this time the futility of the talks. He understood the Mahatma's game too well, writing curtly on September 13th. Dear Mr. Gandhi, when you arrived here on the morning of September 12th to resume our talks, you were good enough to inform me that you had not had the time to attend to my letter of September 11th. We met again today without having received your reply, and I am still waiting for it. Please, therefore, let me have your reply as soon as possible with regard to the various points mentioned in my letter. Yours sincerely, M. A. Jinnah. Gandhi answered on September 14th. In that letter, it was the first time he had written the word Pakistan out of quotation marks, or in any sense other than one of shock or derision. And it may have encouraged Jinnah to think he was making a positive impact on the Mahatma's mind. At any rate, Jinnah wrote a lengthy, rather cordial reply immediately that afternoon. Of course, I can quite understand that such a provisional interim government will represent all parties. I can quite understand that when the moment arrives, certain things may follow. But before we can deal with this formula in a satisfactory manner, I repeat again that as it is your formula, you should give me a rough idea of the provisional interim government that you contemplate and of your conception. Gandhi's letter to Dear Quaid-e-Azam the following day began by stating, for the moment I have shunted the Rajaji's formula and with your assistance am applying my mind very seriously to the famous Lahore resolution of the Muslim League. Then he went on to pick that Lahore resolution apart, arguing the resolution itself makes no reference to the two-nation theory, which was in any event wholly unreal. I find no parallel in history for a body of converts and their descendants claiming to be a nation apart from the parent stock. If India was one nation before the advent of Islam, it must remain one in spite of the change of faith of a very large body of her children. So much then for Mahatma's readiness to recognize Pakistan. It had lasted just one day. Gandhi's true feelings about that absurd idea now came pouring forth, and their acidic impact on Jinnah's momentary hope of reaching a settlement may well be imagined. It is my duty to explain the Lahore resolution to you today and persuade you to accept it, Jinnah replied 2 days later. I have successfully converted non-Muslim Indians in no small number and also a large body of foreigners. And if I can convert you, exercising as you do tremendous influence over Hindu India, it will be no small assistance to me, Jinnah noted. However, that much of Gandhi's letter was a disquisition rather than genuine, seeking clarification, and recommended to Gandhi a number of books, including one written by the untouchable leader, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, We maintain and hold that Muslims and Hindus are two major nations by any definitions or test of a nation, Jinnah said, reiterating the arguments he had made in 1940 in his Lahore presidential address to the League. He then concluded, by all canons of international law, we are a nation. As regards your final paragraph, it is quite clear that you represent nobody else but Hindus. I am convinced that the true welfare not only of Muslims but of the rest of India lies in the division of India as proposed in the Lahore resolution. It is for you to consider whether it is not your policy and program in which you have persisted that has been the principal factor of ruin of the whole of India and of misery and degradation of the people to which you refer and which I deplore no less than anyone else. They met again the next day, but the much touted talks had brought them no closer. Nothing was resolved and no formula bridged the ever widening gulf between them. The more I think about the two-nation theory, the more alarming it appears to me, wrote the Mahatma to his dear Quaid-e-Azam. Gandhi feared that once the principle is admitted, there would be no limit to claims of cutting up India into numerous divisions which would spell India's ruin. Rahmat Ali, who had first publicized Pakistan, was by then advocating no less than 10 separate nations within the continent of all Dinia, as he called India and its oceanic dependencies. Rahmat Ali's latest pamphlet, The Millat and Her 10 Nations, was published from his All Dinia Mini Religious Nations movement headquarters at 16 Montague Road in Cambridge on June 10, 1944 and reissued March 12, 1946. Rahmat Ali's feverish brain conceived of such nations as Siddiqistan, Farooqistan, Haidaristan, Moinistan and Mapleistan, which would respectively represent the Muslims of central India, Bihar and Orissa, Hindustan, Rajasthan and South India. Jinnah had nothing to do with Rahmat Ali or his proliferating plans for Pakassia. Yet many leaders of Congress besides Gandhi feared that mere acceptance of the two-nation theory might give credence to such 10-nation madness. It fell on September 23rd in 1944 and the summit was all but over. In defense to your wishes, Jinnah wrote Gandhi that holiday. I made every effort all these days and in the course of our prolonged talks and correspondence to convert you, but unfortunately it seems I have failed. Gandhi agreed. Still, he asked Jinnah to give me in writing what precisely you would want me to put my signature to. It is not a case of your being asked to put your signature as representing anybody till you clothe yourself with representative capacity and are vested with authority. Jinnah wrote back the same day. We stand by, as I have already said, the basis and fundamental principles embodied in the Lahore Resolution of March 1940. I appeal to you once more to revise your policy and program as the future of the subcontinent and the welfare of its people demand that you should face realities. Gandhi answered with his longest stride towards Jinnah and the League, and it seemed to indicate a change of heart on the Mahatma's part. But next day Jinnah rejected it with almost disdainful hauteur, arguing, you have already rejected the basis and fundamental principles of the Lahore Resolution. You do not accept that the Muslims of India are a nation. You do not accept that the Muslims have an inherent right of self-determination. You do not accept that Pakistan is composed of two zones, northwest and northeast, comprising 6 provinces. As a result of our correspondence and discussions, I find that the question of the division of India as Pakistan and Hindustan is only on your lips and it does not come from your heart. And suddenly at the 11th hour, you put forward a new suggestion saying, let it be a partition as between two brothers. If a division, there must be. This latter point, however, was one that Jinnah himself had recently used in seeking to clarify what he meant by Pakistan. His angry rejection when Gandhi seemed ready to endorse Pakistan appears to indicate that Jinnah really wanted no part in negotiating a formal settlement with the Congress and was caught off guard by Gandhi's swift last moment reversal of position. A Congress League pact at that point would, after all, have taken the wind out of the League's highly successful organizing momentum, which relied for the most part on its passionate popular appeals to Muslim grievances against the Hindu Congress and its Raj. Jinnah did not, however, wish to slam the door absolutely on Representative Gandhi's naked toes. He argued, therefore, at the end of his angry letter of September 25th. But now you have made a new proposal of your own on your own basis, and it is difficult to deal with it any further unless it comes from you in your representative capacity. Why not then accept the fundamentals of the Lahore Resolution and proceed to settle details? Gandhi replied by asking Jinnah to think 50 times before throwing away an offer which has been made entirely in the spirit of service in the cause of communal harmony. Jinnah responded by rejecting all Gandhi's overtures, including his appeals to address the League Council or open session, coldly explaining that only a member or delegate is entitled to participate in the deliberations of the meeting of the council or in the open session respectively. Besides, this is a most extraordinary and unprecedented suggestion to make. However, I thank you for your advice. I regret I have failed to convince you and convert you, as I was hopeful of doing so. I confess I am unable to understand your persistent refusal to appreciate the fact that the formula presented to you by me in my letter of the 24th, as well as the formula presented to you by Rajaji, give you virtually what is embodied in the Lahore Resolution. Gandhi persisted in his final letter to Jinnah on September 26th. You keep on saying that I should accept certain theses, while I have been contending that the best way for us, who differ in our approach to the problem, is to give body to the demand as it stands in the resolution and work it out to our mutual satisfaction. The Gandhi-Jinnah talks were dragging on, and latest rumor is that they have broken down. Wavell reported to Emery. Gandhi is going to Wardha for his birthday to receive the fund collected in memory of his wife, and some people think that a statement about his discussion with Jinnah will be issued from Wardha. Jinnah informed the press that day, I regret to say that I have failed in my task of converting Mr. Gandhi. Nevertheless, we hope that the public will not feel embittered, and we trust that this is not the final end of our effort. Gandhi addressed a larger press corps at Birla House, insisting, the breakdown is only so-called. It is an adjournment sine die. Each of us must now talk to the public and put our viewpoints before them. My experience of previous 3 weeks confirms me in the view that the presence of a third power hinders the solution. A mind enslaved cannot act as if it was free. The chief thing is for the press and the public to avoid partisanship and bitterness. Asked about his own future plans, Gandhi promised to act as my inner voice tells me. The next day, Gandhi told the News Chronicle in Bombay that he believed Mr. Jinnah is sincere, but I think he is suffering from hallucination when he imagines that an unnatural division of India could bring either happiness or prosperity to the people concerned. Wavell confessed to his journal, I must say, I expected something better. The two great mountains have met, and not even a ridiculous mouse has emerged. This surely must blast Gandhi's reputation as a leader. Jinnah had an easy task. He merely had to keep on telling Gandhi he was talking nonsense, which was true, and he did so rather rudely, without having to disclose any of the weaknesses of his own position or define his Pakistan in any way. I suppose it may increase his prestige with his followers, but it cannot add to his reputation with reasonable men.